Did you know Chris Pratt was homeless working at Bubba Gump Shrimp before he blew up in popularity? Crazy, right? And much like Chris Pratt, I think it's fair to say the all-new Dodge Charger has had a little bit of a rocky start. The problem is that Dodge launched the new Charger as an EV only, and in the first 3 months of 2025, Dodge sold just 2,000 EV Chargers. And if you compare that to the Challenger back in 2024, the first 3 months they sold over 9,000 of those, and that was an old car.
But like Chris Pratt's transition into a jacked superhero, gas is back in the Charger with this new six-pack. Powering the new six-pack are two versions of the 3-liter Hurricane Inline 6. You can get an RT that's got 420 horsepower, 468 pound-feet of torque, but if you go for a beefier scat pack like this, that's 550 horsepower, 531 pound-feet of torque. They say 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds and 177 miles per hour top speed.
Now, some of the specs on this engine case are pretty crazy because it's not just a single turbocharger, right? It's dual, and kind of walk me through some of those turbo specs.
Yeah, there's two 54 millimeter Garrett turbos, which are pretty big turbos for a passenger car, and they peak out at about 30 pounds of boost. So this is kind of a truck engine. I know a lot of times 3-liter straight 6 makes you think something like a BMW, but this is an absolute torque monster. And one of the ways that they manage putting that torque down is by making these cars standard all-wheel drive across the board with a rear-wheel drive mode.
One thing worth noting is that the Charger's going to come with one transmission option, which is Chrysler's 8-speed automatic. So if you're hoping for a manual in your six-pack, at least currently, that's not an option. So I thought it'd be really cool to talk to Dodge about this six-pack engine and get a little bit more info. So nice meeting you, man. I'm Tommy.
Good to meet you, Ashton Munoz
And Ashton,
from Dodge.
what do you do with Dodge?
I'm the Dodge Charger brand and product manager.
Okay, very cool. So this is kind of your baby.
This is my baby. This is actually my baby.
So walk me through this six-pack. There's two versions, and kind of talk me through some of the differences between the two and why they're two that are coming out.
Yeah, for sure. The high output version, it's a really awesome engine. Up to 30 pounds of boost, or 30 PSI of boost. So, I mean, I personally got it up to 27, 28. We were kind of talking too, it's like, I mean, diesel trucks and hypercars and like 27, 28, 30 pound or 30 PSI of boost is crazy for a production car. But what it does is it's 550 horsepower. It all-wheel drive. So we're kind of getting more back on the turbos and what makes this the HO engine.
Yeah.
And so bigger turbos. I guess when you compare it to the standard output, that would technically spool up quicker, better for economy, good power still. These are 54 millimeter counter-rotating. These are made for obviously more boost, more power. This engine is pretty beefed up too. So it's got the forged pistons, forged rods, forged crank, all over the standard output version.
So there are physical hardware differences between the standard output and the high output, is that right?
Yep,
okay,
yep. The intercooling system, the size of the actual turbos, like I said, the forged internals on it as well.
Now from a chassis standpoint, obviously the design is fairly similar to the electric. Are there major chassis differences between the gas and the EV?
No,
okay.
So very similar. Obviously you'll get the inherent differences between the battery car has the battery pack basically in a big rectangular, so like it's a little more, stiff and rigid. But then you've got this with the all-wheel drive system with the drive shaft going through. But all that being said, versus the outgoing car, it turns into corners quicker. I could go over like percentage and numbers, but basically like what we've found out in living with the car and driving it, turns in way quicker, high speed maneuvers, so like real quick steering inputs at high speed. The car's way less like unsettled.
Compared to the old one?
Yeah, compared to the outgoing car.
Gotcha.
Yeah. The Scat Pack, standard line lock, standard launch control, standard rear wheel drive button. So you can send 100% of the power to the rear wheels.
Scat Pack has a standard limited slip, is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
so they all have a
all
standard
have it.
limited, and even on the battery cars.
Oh, interesting.
So on all the battery cars.
And that's a mechanical limited slip?
Mechanical
Okay.
limited slip diff. Yeah,
Cool,
clutch
cool.
pack base.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I appreciate
absolutely.
it. That was
Thank you.
awesome. If you're looking at buying a new six-pack and you want the peace of mind in the long run, check out Grainger Warranties, link below for factory-backed extended warranties. So there are some noticeable design differences between this, the Charger Daytona Electric, and the gasoline six-pack. Now, the most recognizable difference is going to be up here in the front end with the hood situation. So this has this delta wing design with this pass-through right above this grille that kind of directs air over the top of the car, but the gasoline version's a little different. So you're going to notice a lot of the design elements are very similar from the electric to the gas version, but there are some big differences. Now, of course, you still have that continuous light bar that extends the width of the Charger, but you're going to notice you don't have that aero piece anymore. So this is a much more conventional front end with air intakes up top, tons of air intakes down low, and then you even have some functional vents along the side. You don't have that pass-through, but then you have a slightly higher hood on the six-pack to accommodate that tall 3-liter inline six. And the coolest design element on the front by far is this little hood vent here that says six-pack down the length of it, and you can actually kind of see it if you're looking at it from here. I don't think you can see it from the inside, but this Daytona has a really cool kind of matte black finish here on top of the hood. Now, coming along to the side of the Scat Pack, of course, you got to know it's a Scat Pack, so you're going to find that little B here located there on the quarter panel, and then you get General tires on this version. It's a 305/35 ZR20, and I like this a lot too. The SRT branding on the brakes with the big Brembo. Now, there's actually two different Scat Packs. There's the standard one and the Scat Pack Plus. This one has the optional glass roof. Now, the design of the side of this car is really interesting because both the 2- and the 4-door versions of the Charger have the same wheelbase, but if you get the 2-door, you get a slightly different look along the side and a positively massive driver's door. This thing is huge. And then as we make our way down toward the rear of the car here, you of course get the little wing, and then that continuous light bar continues out back here, but you get dual exhaust.
As you step inside of the Charger, you see the six-pack logo there on the hood, and get yourself into the driver's seat, close this massive door that's on the 2-door, and you're greeted by two pretty sizable screens. There are a few different configurations for this car. 12.3-inch center screen, but there's a 10.25-inch screen in front of you as base, and a 16-inch screen if you get a more premium model like this Scat Pack Plus. The steering wheel in front of me has a kind of square shape to it, so it's flat on the top and bottom. A few of our basic buttons for drive modes, cruise control, and navigating the menus. A very cool pistol grip shifter, and I love the way that this start-stop button looks. What do you think, Tommy?
Oh, dude, it's super cool. I mean, I think a lot of this interior is going to be carryover if you're familiar with the electric one, but it feels pretty premium. I love the way they've got this two-tone stitching across the dash and this kind of scalloped Charger finish there along the front end. And then these seats, what do you think of the seats, Case?
The seats are pretty comfortable. I like the mix of materials. There are quite a few different seat options you can get, and like we mentioned, this one does have this big glass roof, which makes it look very futuristic. Something else that's pretty cool, check out the texture of the door card there. That's not all just design, that's an actual physical textured panel that's in the door card. And this is one of the things that we had been looking forward to for a long time, since the previous Charger and the Challenger as well had been around for so long. That interior was feeling, even though they updated it, it was feeling pretty old. This feels like a car of the current times.
And one other thing I want to talk about, which I'm not a huge fan of, is these controls in the center here. They look like buttons, but it's all on one kind of panel here, which feels a little bit bargain basement, but you do have some physical controls down here for your launch mode, which is awesome, as well as traction control off, your lane keep assist, a couple of USB-C chargers there, and you got your Qi wireless down there. Now, it's worth noting in this video, this is a very early pre-production car, so some fit and finish things might not be up to full production standards. But let me show you the back seat in the Charger. This is one of this thing's party tricks. Now, there's a strap-eye pull here, seat will fold forward, and then it will glide out of the way. Because the Charger 2-door and 4-door share the same wheelbase, the back seat room is positively massive. Even behind the driver's seat here, I have a huge amount of legroom. Now, headroom's a little bit compromised because of that sloping roofline, but if you just kind of slouch a little bit like I do at 6 feet tall, you're going to be okay. And they even have some nice features back here for rear seat occupants, like real air vents and heated seats, along with 2 USB-C ports. Very cool.
It does make for a very comfortable back seat for a two-door, but this is also a massive car, and because of the size of it and the size of that back seat, it tips the scales around 4,800 pounds.
Whew!
Yeah.
So it's lighter than the electric one by several hundred pounds, but it's still a heavy beast. Now, because the Charger is a whopping 206 inches long, the trunk is massive. In case, unlike the old one, the opening is pretty huge.
That's true. It opens up as a hatch, which you wouldn't guess just by walking up to the car, but looking at the trunk itself, like you said, this is a pretty huge space, and you can fold down these second row seats as well to turn this into almost like a wagon.
So I'm 6 feet tall, but check this out. If I go ahead and get in the right position here, maybe a little bit of a diagonal angle,
You gonna go camping in the Charger?
I can flash everybody and lay down fully at the same time.
Yeah, you've still got headroom to spare. So
Freaking crazy how much room is in the back of this thing. Yeah, it's absolutely huge. Now, let's talk a little bit about some of that weight. So 4,800 pounds, weight distribution is about 55% front, 45% rear. Now here's the thing, I actually did really like the electric Charger. From a car standpoint, it looked great, it was super comfy, it's positively massive on the interior. The only problem with it is the powertrain, which granted is a pretty big problem. Now, with gasoline power under the hood, hopefully those problems are fixed. However, currently the Charger is only being offered with gasoline inline 6 options or electric form. You're probably wondering where the V8s are. Now, as of this filming, the day before the official reveal, there is no V8, and the press people are doing their job, and they're not telling me if a V8 is coming. However, I think it's fair to say we're all assuming a V8 is probably coming. But as of now, August 7th, no V8. Okay, you heard it here, okay? They won't tell me anything. I've asked.
Scat packs like this car should be showing up at dealerships around the end of this year, 2025, and the more basic RTs should show up a little bit after that in 2026. Now, the base RT is going to start right around $50,000, and it'll be an extra $5,000 if you want to get the Scat Pack with a high output, and then the electric 670 horsepower Charger Daytona Scat Pack is going to be around $60,000. If you want to do the 4-door model of any of these, that'll be about an extra $2,000. What do you think, Tommy?
Well, I think a couple things worth noting. First of all, that Charger Daytona Scat got quite a bit cheaper. Right now it costs about the same as an RT, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And look, I think $50 starting seems like a lot of money for a Charger, but when you kind of see how premium some of these features are inside and out, it starts to make sense. And that's not going to be as nice as this. Certainly it's going to be a little bit more basic. But physically, it's a lot of car for the money.
And they all come spec'd out with a lot of features. Even those RTs are standard all-wheel drive, and this car, of course, you can do a rear-wheel drive mode. You can do the same on the RT. So you get a lot for that amount of money, but that's true. It's definitely a pricey car. So let us know what you all think in the comments below. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks to Tommy for coming along with me here to Michigan to film these cars, and we'll see you next time.